Good afternoon. Welcome back to the channel. Nick Can't Game, or Can He? I hope you're all having a wonderful weekend surrounded by your family, friends, and loved ones. And I thank you for spending this time with me today. I appreciate it very much. Today's game, we're back in Pro Wrestling Sim, episode 3 of our WCW Revival. And today we're going to see if we can complete some of our tournaments at our first company pay-per-view and the slightly extended edition of our Thursday night show, WCW Thunder. So we'll flip over to the game and we'll get started. You can see here I spent quite a few hours getting the Thunder Show booked out for our tournament advancements and our promos. And added an extra hour to it. We'll cut it back to 2 hours for next week, but for tonight, for this particular episode, I really wanted to get through most of the tournaments and bring things to a conclusion at the pay-per-view. And we're all booked out. Let's start the show and see how well things go. So our opening segment got an 83% approval rating, where we start the show with the weekly show intro, video packaging featuring the people who are going to be starring on this week's show. Next, one of our main authority figure, Bill Goldberg, arrives at the show. That gets us an 87% approval rating. Let's see. Some of our announcers are hyping up the show tonight. Our announcers gain in popularity. One of our number one people, Brock Lesnar, slightly loses popularity. Joe Hendry and Kenta gain pop. And it looks like Rebecca Knox, the former Becky Lynch, slightly losing some popularity. And we go on here to the next match. This is part of our women's title tournament. We had Rosemary and Macy Estrella. Looks like nothing much happened here. It was only a 1-star match. 48% crowd reaction, but it does advance the tournament. Let's see. So, in another match in the tournament, we have Mercedes going up against Tessa Blanchard. Both heels, a 3-star match. Mercedes gains slightly in popularity. Tessa doesn't lose any popularity. And our final score of 64%. Next up, we have a backstage interview segment where the wrestler known as Rio One, once known in WWE as Enzo Amore, gets attacked by a heel wrestler named Raj Desi, who was known as Jinder Mahal in the WWE. Everybody gains popularity in this segment. Rio One gets attacked, gets medical attention, and gets stretchered out of the building. Only a 72% score, but it does gain popularity for everybody involved in the segment. Next we have an advertisement for the latest action figure releases. And everybody who's getting a new action figure is gaining in popularity. We got a 93% score. Next up is another women's quarterfinal tournament match. This is Mandy Sachs versus Trish. The match quality is considered a dud, which is disappointing. The crowd reaction was a 77% though, so they at least were happy for it. They each got a boost of popularity, although it doesn't show in here. It says Trish was struggling for breath at the end of the match, so we'll try to make it a shorter match the next one she's in. She wins and advances in the tournament. Working with the road agent helped everyone in the segment. And we move on to the next quarterfinal match, which is Rebecca Knox versus Saraya. And let's see if we can get a bit more on here. 87% crowd reaction, only 1.5 stars, and a 76 total quality. They had boosts, they put in huge efforts. As the winner, Rebecca gets boosted her popularity. As the loser, Saraya loses slightly in her popularity. And that moves our women's title tournament up. Next we have the heel stable, led by Bully Ray, known as the Dead Man's Hand, arriving to the arena. Shown in the back coming in. Kane's gimmick as a former MMA fighter helps with the angle. Get some popularity from the crowd. Final score of 89%. Next is a match for the TV title tournament. Nobody really gains any popularity. It's only a 2-star match, and the crowd wasn't really into it. 52% final score. Next up, we have women in our tag team division. 2 teams going at each other in a bit of a war of words. The team of Mandy Sachs and Daria Berenato exchanging words with the Iconics, and we'll see about getting a women's tag team match set up for them, probably at the pay-per-view. That'll be later in this episode. And that is an 85% approval from the crowd. Next, Bret Hart comes out to announce the attendance for the night, and that gets us a final score of 70%. Not as good as we wanted it to, but I guess it'll do. Next is another match in the second round of the TV title tournament. Mike Santana versus Donovan Dijak. Santana wins. The crowd wasn't that into it. 2-star match quality, only 51% crowd rating, 52% total score. They said the road agent did the heavy lifting and putting the match story together. They have good chemistry as opponents. I don't know why the crowd wasn't into it. And next up we have another match, which is Eddie Edwards versus Calvin Tankman, who's part of the Dead Man's Hand. The Dead Man's Hand attacked Eddie during the match while the referee's back was distracted, bringing the match quality down to 1.5 stars. Really poor crowd reaction. But Calvin advances in the tournament. Next up, we have the tag team known as The Club, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, coming to our authority figure Bill Goldberg and demanding a match with the Hardys for a tag team title. And Goldberg approves of it, and he makes the match official. We get an 81% final score. So that will also be on the pay-per-view card. Next, in a U.S. title quarterfinal match, Matt Cardona versus Matt Riddle. They each had a boost of performance because of their gimmicks. Matt put in a huge effort. It didn't get much reaction from the crowd. Matt's popularity slightly goes up because of winning. Or Matt Riddle, Cardona's popularity slightly goes down because of losing. Only a 1.5 star match for a 57% final score. And the next quarterfinal match is Kenta versus Paul Walter Hauser. The performance was helped by the agent. Nobody's popularity grows. In fact, Paul Walter Hauser's popularity slightly decreases. 2-star match, 60% crowd reaction, and the 58% final score. Next in the backstage segment, the current World Tag Team Champions, the Hardys, are interviewed regarding their rivalry with the club and the upcoming tag team title match. They were interviewed by Shane McMahon. And now we move on to the semifinal of the World Heavyweight Championship Tournament. This is Nick Nemeth versus Joe Hendry. Nick had a boost to performance because of his gimmick. He got a better reaction. He's got a bit of momentum right now. His selling skill raised the match quality, put in a huge effort. Joe had a boost because of his gimmick. He's also riding a wave of momentum. The crowd enjoyed the special entrances. As the winner of the match, Joe gets a slight increase to his popularity. And as the loser, Nick gets a slight decrease. And Nick really helped out in this match. And it's a 2.5 star match. 84% crowd reaction, only a 76% overall. And next is our main event for the night. Brock Lesnar versus Raj Desi in the semifinals of the men's world title tournament. Looks like his star power and intimidating presence add to the match. I think he could have put in more effort. Raj had a boost because of his gimmick. The agenting helped the performance. The crowd enjoyed the special entrance. There was a big spot in the match that really put the crowd on their feet. The crowd were in love with the segment and the reaction made it better. Brock Lesnar's popularity grows up. Raj does not lose any popularity. The match quality is only considered a 1 star, but the crowd went nuts. 100% of crowd reaction, final score of 95%. And that brings us to the conclusion of the Thunder before the pay-per-view. And we got an increase in overall show rating, 75%. We gained 0.5 popularity in every part of the world. We see our individual segment scores here, and we will end the show at this point. We will click multiple times to advance everybody in the tournaments, because we have to do that for every single person in every single tournament, which is kind of silly. They really need to have a button that says advance everybody who is in every tournament, instead of having to do this every single time. Hopefully that's a feature that will be coming up in the future in this program. Okay, and our popularity is growing. We can see that here. Our finances are getting better. We spent a lot of money signing people at the beginning because we had no workers to start with. Let's see. We have some mail. Our summary. We sold almost 8,000 tickets. We got 290,000 in ticket sales after our payments to the wrestlers who had a gate share clause in their contracts. We got another $293,000 from Amazon Prime Video. For our viewers, 1,885,572 viewers. And at this point, we're going to pause while I go through my my listing of everything and see how to finish up with the tournaments for the pay-per-view. So I realized that I made my tournaments a little too big with too many people to finish them off at the pay-per-view, unless I added one more show before the pay-per-view. So we're calling this a WCW Worldwide House Show. And we're going to increase our venue. And see what we've got this for. It's an hour-long house show. And I booked it out so that our two of our tournaments will now have their finals at the pay-per-view. So we've got matches in the women's title tournament and the U.S. title tournament, and a couple of angles in between. So let's go ahead, start the show, and get going. The show opens with a video of Matt Riddle showing up backstage. The announcing team for the show wonders if his rival for the night, his opponent Konosuke Takeshita, will be watching his arrival and preparing for their match. Next match is part of the women's title tournament. Mercedes Moné and Trish Stratus. It's a 10-minute long match. Mercedes' gimmick gave her a boost of performance. She's riding a wave of momentum, put in a huge effort. Trish is riding a wave of momentum as well. The agent helped the performance. The crowd enjoyed the special entrances. Nobody's popularity increased. but the crowd reaction was a 96% with a 1.5 star match quality for an 84% total score. After the match, Mandy jumps in the ring, starts going after Mercedes as part of their rivalry. Mandy does not gain any popularity for this. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but Mercedes does. So Mandy beats her down. Mercedes ends up getting medical attention, and then she cuts a promo while she's getting medical attention, cuts a promo on Mandy, going on about their rivalry, and that comes up to a 79% total for the 3 segments in that particular post-match incident. Next up, for the women's title tournament semifinal, Daria Berenato versus Rebecca Knox. Daria got boosted her performance, better reaction than you'd expect, riding away from momentum. Our agent really helped them out. Becky's star power added to the max. She put in a huge effort. Daria loses a point of popularity in North America, but doesn't gain or lose anything anywhere else. Becky's popularity doesn't change at all. I'll have to look into the system for the program to find out what increases or decreases popularity. But the crowd had an 87% reaction. Match quality was 2 stars. Final score 77%. In a video clip, we show Mike Tyson watching the show from up in the VIP seats, and that gets a 97% approval from the crowd. Next up is part of the U.S. title tournament, Konosuke Takeshita versus Matt Riddle. Konosuke wins. It's a 3.5 star match, but the crowd wasn't that into it. Only 71% crowd approval, total score of 69%. Looks like both wrestlers put a good effort into the match, and Matt gets a point of decrease in his North American popularity, but no increase or decrease otherwise. Takeshita gets a 0.2% increase in North America as a result of his victory. No increase or decrease in the rest of the world. And our next segment is the main event, which is also in the U.S. title tournament. Wrestler Kenta versus Mustafa Ali. And let's see how that match goes. The workers tried to steal the show. They really upped their game. Mustafa had a boost to his performance because of the gimmick. He put in a huge effort. The crowd found 14 straight minutes of chaos a little tiring. They have good chemistry as opponents, and they help the match quality. Nobody gained or lost popularity. Working with the agent helped everyone in the segment. Only a 55% crowd reaction, probably because the match ran a little long, but a 4-star quality, 59% final score. That gets us to our pay-per-view on the next night, and gets 2 of our tournaments to where the final matches will be on the pay-per-view. Overall show rating 75%. It was a house show. It didn't air anywhere, so it only gained 0.5 popularity in North America. And pretty decent. Except for those final 2 matches exhausted our audience. Kind of disappointing, but oh well. And yes, we want to advance everybody who was in the tournaments into the tournaments. Okay. And now we are ready to book out our Spring Stampede show. Let's see what we got in the mail. We sold 7,300 tickets, gained $324,000 in ticket sales, and that's after paying our gate share employees their money. Okay. And I'm going to pause while I put the pay-per-view together. I'll be back in a couple minutes. Okay, that took a little while longer than I expected. But our first WCW pay-per-view, Spring Stampede, is all booked. Every angle set. Every match ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Let's get started. Start the show, yes. Alright, and tonight's show opens with a dramatic video narrated by one Joey Styles, where we go over all the people in the main events of the night. The World Championship match between Brock Lesnar and Joe Hendry, the women's title match, World Championship match between Mercedes Moné and Rebecca Knox, and the U.S. title match between Konosuke Takeshita and Kenta. And it looks like we have got an 83% for this first introductory segment of the pay-per-view. Next, authority figure Bill Goldberg arrives at the arena, 85%. And he makes his way to the ring. The crowd goes nuts, and that is an 89%. And once he gets to the ring, he announces the creation of a new championship. This is the Women's World Tag Team Championship. And the match to determine that championship begins right now. We have the tag team known as the Beautiful Disasters, Mandy Sachs and Daria Berenato, versus the Iconics of Jessie McKay and Cassie Lee. The wrestlers were riding a wave of momentum. Their gimmicks gave a boost to the match. The Iconics are masterful in tag team situations. The crowd enjoys the special entrances. Our agent did a lot of good work in putting the match story together. The Beautiful Disasters, Mandy and Daria, are the new WCW Women's Tag Team Champions. They gain in popularity. The Iconics, in their loss, slightly drop in popularity. The match quality is only at 1%. I would disagree with that, but the crowd went nuts for it. 77%. And between that and the 1-star rating, final score of 68%. And next we have a quarterfinal match In the television title championship, Moose versus Patrick Clark. Patrick had a boost to his performance because of his gimmick. He put in a huge effort. Our agent did a lot of good work in putting the match story together. Moose wins the match and gains in popularity slightly. Patrick loses and goes down in popularity slightly. 1.5 star match, 52% final score. Next up, we have two of the announcers giving a preview of the match for tonight. And that only gets a 76%. Kind of a shame. They're very good announcers, and we have a good set of matches going forward for tonight. Next is the debuting Maven Huffman, who just signed with our company recently, going up against a wrestler known as Odinson. Maven, after his debut video hyped him up on Monday, got a better reaction than expected, riding a wave of momentum. His selling skill added to the match quality. He put in a huge effort. Oninson's intimidation factor added to the match. The crowd was very poor. Very, very poor. Our agent did a lot of work putting the story together. Maven gains 0.4 popularity in the US and 0.8 everywhere else. He was made to look good, and it helped. Moose lost a little bit of, not Moose, Odinson lost a little bit of popularity. The crowd was horrible for this match. We still had a 2-star quality match. But yeah, the crowd was not hot. We'll have to see what we can do about that going forward. Next up is a men's tag title match versus the Hardys and the Club. This was built up in the last couple of shows, with the various tag teams going, cutting promos on each other, and one of the teams going to Bill Goldberg to demand the match. The match was made here tonight, and there was a major spot in the match. Probably something to do with tables, knowing the Hardys. The Hardys had a boost to their performances because of their gimmicks. The Hardys were masterful in tag team situations. So are the members of the club. The crowd enjoyed the special entrances, and the table spot had the crowd on their feet. The crowd reaction was 97%. 2.5 star match for an 86% final score. And Jeff and Matt retained their tag team championship and grow in popularity while the club slightly goes down. And in our next segment, we have Stone Cold Steve Austin interviewing Joe Hendry about his World Championship match later in the evening. Joe got a bump up in his popularity. Steve is so popular that he can't go anywhere as far as popularity. At the end of the interview, Brock Lesnar came out and he and Joe had a stare down. Final score for this segment was 78%. TV quarterfinal matches is next, and that is Cain Velasquez versus Raj Desi in an MMA style match. Raj had a boost because of his gimmick. Cain had a boost because of his gimmick. Arn Anderson did a lot of good work putting the match together. Cain wins the match, a half-star match, gains some pop, while Raj, in loses some popularity. 54% overall total score. Next up is the Women's World Title match, the finale of that tournament. Mandy, who is currently in a feud with Mercedes, comes up to the desk and takes a spot as a guest announcer. That when Mandy joined up, she had 100% pop quality. Joining the table, and then the entrances from the wrestlers brought this to a final score of 87%. And now we have the finals of the women's tag team of the women's tag. Reverse. Begin again. The finals of the women's world title tournament: Mercedes Moné versus Rebecca Knox. The workers went for an epic feel. The crowd wasn't quite into it. They have boosts to their performances because of their gimmicks. The crowd loved the special entrances. The crowd was in love with the match, and that made it even better. Becky wins the title tournament. 93% crowd rating, 2% match quality for an 83% overall. And next, we further the feud. Mandy jumps up from the commentary position and attacks Mercedes after the match. Everybody's popularity grows, including the announcers. 69% overall quality on this segment. And before we go to the main event, we have an advertisement airing for the company's streaming platform. Everybody involved gets increased to their popularity. 88% for this advertising segment. Next is an interview with Konosuke Takeshita being interviewed by Maria Menounos regarding his upcoming U.S. title match with Kenta. And that got us a 96% rating. Everybody grew in popularity here. And yeah, that match is next. This is the U.S. title final match. And Konosuke versus Kenta. Konosuke's riding a wave of momentum. He put in a huge effort. The crowd enjoyed the special entrances. And he wins the title. Konosuke Takeshita is the first United States champion of the new WCW. 4.5-star match. That is sweet. Crowd wasn't as great as it should have been. But overall, we have a 77% rating for this segment. And next up, the hype begins for the finals of the World Title Tournament. The energy of a big fight fills the arena as we get close. AJ and Matt are talking about the feud, the history of the of what's going on between Joe and Brock. Brock makes his entrance to 100% rating. Joe makes his entrance only a 65% rating. And Brock stares down Joe. And we are ready for the match. A total score of 81%. This match is for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. In the corner to my right, the Beast Incarnate, former UFC and WWE Champion, Brock Lesnar. His opponent to my left, say his name and he appears, Joe Hendry. For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to rumble! And the star power of both adds to the match. Brock's intimidating presence adds to the match. Jill had a boost because of his gimmick. They both are riding away from momentum. The crowd loved the special entrance. The crowd was in love with the segment. Our agent did a good job putting the story together. The match quality only got a 1 star. Disappointing, something I disagree with. Brock Lesnar gains a lot in popularity and is our first World Heavyweight Champion of the new WCW. 91% crowd reaction, 79% overall final score because of the poor rating of the match quality. Something I again would disagree with. And that concludes this show. And we get a show rating of 80%. Gaining 0.5 in popularity all across the globe. I think we did a good job on this pay-per-view. And we will end the show. Advance in tournament, yes. Yes. It is annoying having to hit this button every single time. I know I keep saying that, and it keeps being true. And look at that. Our popularity is really growing. Our finances are also growing. Let's check our mail. Summarizing what happened. Weekly report between us and WWE. We only won one category, production quality. Let's see. We were the winner in most of the categories when comparing between us and AEW, so that's good. We made $567,000 in ticket sales, and that comes after paying our gate share to the performers. We had almost 2 million viewers on Prime, $788,000 in income from that. And I believe that is where we're going to call it a video. I thank you for spending this time with me. As always, I appreciate it. You mean the world to me. I love you all, and I'm very grateful for your kindness and generosity. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I love you all. Take my love with you everywhere you go. I will see you again very soon. And as always, be good to each other. It's the highest calling in all the world. Show each other kindness, compassion, mercy, and love. Have a great day.